Now, this is the very first podcast episode that I'm going to create, except call it a reboot. All right, let's start it off now. As we talk about this topic, as you've seen in the title, it's more full-blown than ever. I wish I could have talked more on that thing. It's so broad that I cannot fully compress it fully. It takes a lot of understanding, but here is how I try my utmost best to understand the topic and illustrate it to you. Now, remember the subject of the United States and China just battling out each other economically, do tariffs and everything else. This thing hasn't been around ever since Trump. This thing started in the 1970s. Now, in the 1970s, China wanted to become not like Soviet Union, but communist at the same time. They didn't want a full-blown system collapse because the communism that was practiced in mainland China failed. As a result of the reforms in the People's Republic of China, the United States and Chinese relations improved very, very well. Now, fast forward to 2001, where China joined the World Trade Organization. Well, the reason why they joined the organization is because of the United States-China Relations Act of 2000. I hope I didn't butcher the name well. But it's a law that was enacted that allowed China to enter into the organization, and it was given the most favored nation status, meaning that that guy is the most attractive nation that could bring anything upon anything to the table. But China was yet a powerhouse. Ever since then, the United States then became partners with China, and they became good friends. But it had a problem. As of 2017, the United States imported more into China than exporting more to China, leading into a trade deficit. As of 2017, it led to in 2017, it was recorded that at least 375.6 billion in trade deficits with China. Not only the deficit, but it costed around 2.7 million jobs between 2001 to 2011. The Americans accused the Chinese of large-scale subsidies, as well as inflexible subsidies, as well as exports at dumping prices. Not only that, but large-scale efforts by the Chinese brought the US global position to consideration. Remember the Belt and Road Movement, Made in China 2025, as well as the formation of the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. So in the US, there's been a big debate, like tariffs or no tariffs. So the proponents, or the ones who support it, argue that it will decrease the trade deficit and protecting intellectual property. However, the tariffs were mixed in terms of results because it wasn't macroeconomic factors, but trade policy that has led to the deficit. All right, the big question, there are two types of capitalism here at play. Let's call it type of capitalism. There is capitalism and there is state-controlled capitalism. Now, to understand state-controlled capitalism, that's like communists give birth and then somewhat divorced and then interacted with capitalism, and now the baby isn't capitalism, but a half-breed of communism and capitalism. Short-wise, what I'm trying to say is that let's talk about the difference. Now, state capitalism is more of communism than capitalism itself. So it's a system where the state owns all means or a significant portion of means of production through state-owned enterprises, while capitalism emphasizes on private ownership of the things that are being used in day-to-day businesses. Now, the timeline of the relations will start in 2017, where Trump became the president on his first term. So as of 2017 onward, that is where the things got hot. So trade advisor Peter Navarro believed that China was cheating. This is through forced tech transfers, currency manipulation, huge state subsidies, IP theft of billions and billions. So in 2018, the United States imposed tariffs on China, totaling to around $360 billion on Chinese exported goods. The goods that were affected were 1. Steel and aluminum, consumer electronics, machinery and semiconductors. So the goal was to protect America and her economy, to reduce the trade deficit and to force China to change. However, China had other plans. Here is their response. So they retaliated with the tariffs on American agricultural goods like soybean, corn, and pork, as well as they started a PR campaign accusing the United States of economic bullying, violating the World Trade Organization rules, and trying to contain China via technical or technology warfare.